Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the NBA slate on DraftKings and Yahoo for Tuesday, April the 23rd. We got a 4-game NBA slate today. Like always, going to go through each position, talk about some of the guys that I like at each position. And of course, as we work our way through the player pool, I will give my 5 plays for DraftKings and 5 plays for Yahoo. These are 5 players that I do specifically like for each site. Just before we do get started, guys, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video, and if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. But starting off at point guard today, Russell Westbrook, our most expensive option here, $10,200 in Game 5 of this series against Portland on the road. Westbrook, I don't mind today. He is coming off a very bad Game 4 where he just did not look good, shot the ball very poorly, shot 23% from the field, played 40 minutes and only had 35 DraftKings points. Probably, or by far, Westbrook's worst game that he's played in this series. I would expect him to bounce back here in Game 5. Obviously, there's a chance OKC is eliminated in this game. If they do lose, they're down 31, so Portland wins, they're done for the playoffs. I would expect Westbrook to come out and play good, play well. But Damian Lillard, I'd just rather have. Lillard's $1,400 cheaper. I think Lillard just comes out firing in a closeout game against OKC, especially at home. Definitely gonna buy into the narrative here of Lillard in Game 5 at home, closing this series out. I do expect the Trailblazers to win this game. Lillard's just been playing so well in this series to begin with, been so consistent, playing huge minutes. Has scored less, or his worst game was against, or in their last game in Game 4, his worst game was 41 DraftKings points. But then you look other than that game, 49, 54, and 46 DK points. And where you're saving $1,400, I like Damian Lillard quite a bit on DraftKings, going down from Westbrook to Lillard. Ben Simmons at 8,600 is kind of like a wait and see for me, depending on if Joel Embiid plays or not. If Embiid plays, which I think he is going to, he is probable. Don't really have any interest in Simmons. If Embiid is out, then Simmons becomes more appealing. But for right now, I would rather play Lillard over Simmons, and I think Lillard's the guy that I want to pay up for at point guard in general on this slate. But if you're not going to Lillard, I think my next favorite play would probably be Jamal Murray at 6,300. I think he's just a guy you can continue to play. He's going to continue to be consistent. I know he did have one bad game in this series, but other than that, he's been over 30 DraftKings points in every other game. Just been really consistent. He's 6,300 on DraftKings. He does make a ton of sense in my opinion. On Yahoo, I do like him quite a bit as well. If you can't pay up for Lillard or Westbrook, Murray is 24, so he definitely stands out as a mid-tier play. But other than that, point guard's probably a position where I'm going to try and pay up if I can to either Westbrook or Lillard, with Lillard being my preferred option, and then Murray could be a guy you look to. But let's go ahead and talk about shooting guard now. So at shooting guard, there's 2 guys I want to touch on at this position. First off is Caris LeVert. He's 5,900 on DraftKings. Love him today. On Yahoo, he's at small forward, and he's $24. Really like him on Yahoo as well. Even though he's had a price increase, I definitely think he is worth this price increase. LeVert's been playing so well, especially in the last 2 games, 44 and 42 DraftKings points. He did draw the start in their last game in Game 4 and played 42 minutes. We love to see that. Now I expect LeVert to continue to start and continue to play big minutes. He is a guy that's going to be a productive player when he's on the floor. He's going to shoot. He can contribute in all stats. He can get rebounds. He can get assists. Even where he's 5,900 on DK, and even where they did raise his price, I still think LeVert's a very good play. I would expect him to score at least 30, 35 DraftKings points. So 5,900, he definitely stands out as one of the more clear plays on DK today. Just been playing so well, been playing huge minutes, especially in that last game, and I think that does continue here in Game 5. And then another guy I really like is Gary Harris, 5,100 on DK. On Yahoo, he's at shooting guard, and he's 17 over here, same price as JJ Redick. Just looking at shooting guard on Yahoo, you probably have like 5 or 6 guys you're going to consider playing. If you're not paying up for McCollum, then you're either going to go to like some of these upper team guys like Fournier, Ross, Harris, Redick, maybe even Danny Green. Gary Harris definitely stands out on Yahoo at shooting guard. He's another guy like Jamal Murray that's been pretty consistent in this series. Has scored less, or his worst game was in Game 4, where he scored his less amount of points, or the least amount of points he's scored in this series, 21 DK points. Other than that, he's been 30, 32, and 27 DK points. Also been playing pretty big minutes, 33, 34, 35, 37 minutes each game in this series. I would expect him to continue to play about mid-30s in minutes. He probably scores 25, 30 DraftKings points here. Gary Harris just looks like a really good cash play if you're playing cash. Even in tournaments, I think he can give you 6, close to 7x upside, especially at that $5,100 price tag. So I like him quite a bit at shooting guard. Him and LeVert are probably going to be the two guys that I look to the most at this position. And then the clear value play today that is shooting guard eligible, you can play him as small forward. Torrey Craig's just $3,400 on DraftKings and dirt cheap on Yahoo as well, $11, just $1 off the minimum. I expect Torrey Craig to be massively owned on this slate, but with his price tag on DraftKings being so cheap, it's pretty hard to get away from him. He drew the start in Game 4, played 37 minutes, had 36 DraftKings points, was just very productive, just looked really good, contributed in all stats, was really good on the boards, getting 8 rebounds, played great defense. And I imagine that he continues to start and continues to play big minutes. And although Torrey Craig is not known as a productive player, still getting a guy this cheap in a playoff slate, playing 30-plus minutes, playing close to 40 minutes at $3,400, is just really hard to avoid. So even though Torrey Craig's going to be really popular today, I still like him, especially since he's so cheap on DraftKings. If he was like 54, 5,200, I think you could look elsewhere, but since he's so cheap, almost close to minimum price, I think you just play Torrey Craig and then eat that chalk and get different elsewhere. But let's go ahead and move on to small forward. So small forward has a lot of guys at this position I've already talked about that I really like. LeVert and Craig, you can both play at small forward. Aaron Gordon's a guy that I want to talk about. 6,600 on DraftKings. On Yahoo, he's at power forward. He's 29. Really like him on Yahoo because if you just look at some of the other power forwards that you can play, you're either probably paying up for Siakam, Harris, or Gordon, or you're just going cheap here for a guy like Paul Millsap or Al-Farouq Aminu. Gordon definitely stands out on Yahoo at 29 as one of the clear power forwards to pay up for. He looked really good in their last game in Game 4. Played very well, played big minutes as well, 38 minutes and 42 fantasy points. Just overall, the Magic as a team have kind of struggled in this series, especially in the last 3 games. But Aaron Gordon's been playing surprisingly pretty well in this series. Even though he hasn't had huge fantasy games besides the last game, he's been really good just pushing the pace, been good offensively, been shooting the ball a lot. Vucevic has really struggled in this series. Gordon's kind of been sort of the spark for the Magic, especially in that last game. He was kind of the spark, even though they lost. He played really well, and I expect that to continue here. So I do like Aaron Gordon quite a bit, especially on Yahoo since the power forward position is pretty gross, and Aaron Gordon definitely stands out over there at $29. Even at 6,600 on DraftKings, I think he's a pretty good play as well. But for small forward, this is a position where I'm probably going to save. Paul George obviously is a guy you could look to, but I think I would rather play Lillard for just 200 more. And we're going to talk about some of the expensive centers. Really like Embiid, really like Jokic on this slate. Paul George probably going to be sort of a secondary option for me. Small forward is going to be position I save with Craig, LeVert. Minu, I think, is a good value at 4,700. He's definitely a guy you could look to. I think that's it for this position, though. Let's go ahead and talk about some power forward plays. So at power forward, the guys I really like here are definitely Gordon in that mid-range you could look to. Al-Farouq Aminu as a value I do like quite a bit. I think LaMarcus Aldridge at 7,800 is a guy you could look to. Kawhi Leonard, also, don't want to overlook him. He's not really a guy that I've been playing on these playoff slates, but he's been really good, especially the last few games. I know he had like a 50-burger in the last game. I think in Game 2 he played really well. So even though Kawhi Leonard is closely priced to Paul George, don't want to overlook him. I think I would still rather play Paul George for just 700 more. But Kawhi does need to get some of our attention. Usually not a guy that I play, especially during the regular season. I never played Kawhi when Kyle Lowry was healthy, but Kawhi's kind of taken over in the playoffs. Kyle Lowry's kind of taken a backseat, so I do like Kawhi quite a bit, but I do prefer to get up to George if you can. But like I said, power forward, you got Aldridge. You could look to Aaron Gordon I like quite a bit. If you need a save, you can use a guy like Al-Farouq Aminu as a value. He's only 4,700 on DraftKings. Mike Scott been playing pretty well in this series. He's dirt cheap, 3,400. Hasn't had huge games, but the minutes have been surprisingly pretty high. 27 minutes in the last game. I imagine Scott continues to play about upper 20s in minutes could easily give you 20 DraftKings points at 3,400. He's not the worst value play, but it's hard to play him over a guy like Torrey Craig, who's probably going to play like 10, 15 more minutes. But if you want to go like really load up on the studs and you want to play like 2 or 3 studs, then you're probably going to look to a guy like Mike Scott, play him with Torrey Craig, so that way you can fit in multiple studs into your lineup. But now going on to center, quickly talking about center before we end the video. So Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic, 2 guys that I really like on this slate. Joel Embiid, though, is my preferred option, assuming he plays today. $10K on DraftKings and $53 on Yahoo. I love Embiid here versus Brooklyn. It's just such a good matchup. Embiid absolutely crushed them in the last game, going off for 77 DraftKings points in 32 minutes. Even though he's been somewhat limited in this series, he's still been very productive when he's been on the floor. It's such a good matchup for him. This Brooklyn team just continues to get killed by bigs. They got killed by bigs all year during the regular season. During the postseason, Embiid's been destroying them. So, assuming Embiid's healthy and he's able to play, which it looks like he's going to since he's probable, I like him a ton at 10K. Jokic as well is for 700 less you could look to, especially if Embiid sits, or if Embiid's not able to play, then Jokic is obviously the clear pivot. But assuming Embiid is healthy, I would rather play him. Do like Jokic though. I like the spot a lot for him, especially because I think this is a game Denver has to win if they want to win this series. Series tied at 2-2, must-win game for Denver in my opinion. I expect Jokic to come out and play really well. Center for me is going to be a position I try and pay up as much as I can, whether I go to Embiid or Jokic. I do like Aldridge. I would rather play Aldridge over Vucevic, but Aldridge can't really rank him over the 2 top-tier guys, just because I would rather play those guys. Assuming you do want to save, I guess a cheap play you could look to would be or a mid-tier play, maybe Enes Kanter, Jared Allen, 2 guys you could look to. But center for me is all about paying up for Jokic and Embiid. Just love those guys today. So I think that is it for this position, guys. I think that is it for the video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully it did help you. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you click that like button down below and make sure you subscribe if you have not already. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Or like always, you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. But yeah, guys, I really appreciate you watching the video. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one. Good luck tonight. Peace.